Joe talks about Joe. And now, your host, Joe Slepsky.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Joe on Joe. It's me, your host, Joe Slepsky. And as I guess predicted's not the right word, as teased last week, we've got our interview with Josh Eggebeen from the Robo Toy Fest out here in Southern California. Now, we recorded this. This one was planning to release last week, right before Joe Fest in Augusta, which from all accounts, it looks like it was a tremendous success. Some nice reveals. The Super 7 toys look fantastic. But then we had that great interview with Greg, and that ran over time. And listen, there's only so many time in a podcast. Like, I don't want to keep you here for 2 hours. So this is our Josh Eggebeen interview. Still vital, still relevant, because next week, or in a couple days, we are coming up the Dallas-Fort Worth Joe Fest, the DFW show. So Josh is going to be down there. He's going to be talking their command file books and the After Action Report, the whole family of After Action Report books. So if there's a little wonky dates in here talking about like have fun at Joe Fest, we know you had fun last week at Joe Fest. So I hope it was a predictor of success, and I really hope everyone had a great time. I can't wait to hear how Dallas-Fort Worth goes. Can't wait to see the Kickstarter go over the top for Command Files and the After Action Report, guys. And more importantly, I can't wait to welcome all you new listeners to Joe on Joe. If you're new to the show, this is the podcast where, I've covered all the old episodes of the cartoon. I've covered all the comic book issues. And we're working our way through a lot of the mid-90s, kind of late stage, early Joe ephemera. And along the way, we're interviewing friends and family and making new friends and all those good things. So thank you so much for joining us. You can reach me online at Joe on Joe Pod. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can send me an email to joeandjoepod@gmail.com. If you want to be a guest on the show, if you want to say hi, if you have something to promote, or if you just want to talk about G.I. Joe, this is your venue. I've got a very exciting interview lined up for next week, so keep your eyes peeled. And, appreciate you reaching out. If you're online, leave us a rate and review. If you want to check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/JoeandJoePod, and help grow the show that way, help support it. And otherwise, I can't wait to hear what comes out of Dallas-Fort Worth. You're going to hear a sit-down interview here with Josh and I. We were at the Robo Toy Fest, which is a great show if you're out here in SoCal, and they just expanded. It got a lot bigger. It's really great. So there's a lot of background noise. It's con, so you're going to hear con interview stuff. But I think the audio is good enough for you to enjoy. I think it's quality, and a great conversation about Josh and his trip. He loves those European comic books and stuff. So we're talking all about that. And then we walk the floor a little bit. So you're going to first hear our sit down conversation, and then you're going to hear Josh and I on the floor talking with a couple vendors, talking about their selection of international comic books, and talking to one of the Joe vendors that probably a lot of you are going to recognize, as he's a longtime Joe guy. Literally says he's been to every Joe show, so it's spoiler alert. Give it a listen. Appreciate you all so much. Have a great week. And here we are sitting on the floor of the Robo Toy Fest, talking G.I. Joe. Josh, you're back from this European vacation.
Yes.
You were on your European Special Missions Force?
Yes.
What prompted the trip? Where did you go? Broad strokes of what did you see? What was it, a G.I. Joe hunt entirely, or what was going on?
So it was 100% based on my mother's 80th birthday.
Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday. It was April 26th, which was in the Netherlands, King's Day. Now, King's Day is like July 4th, but on steroids, where everybody in the country comes out. They're all dressed in orange, and they're partying and having a great time, and it's celebration event.
Is your mom from the Netherlands?
Yes, we're Dutch. My family's Dutch. She's
Love it.
half Dutch. I'm Dutch. My sister lives in Amsterdam. My niece and brother-in-law are all there, so we've been there many times. The whole plan was like, yes. When your parents turn in a big birthday, like, what do you want to do? And she's like, I just want to be in the Netherlands. I don't want to have any parties or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's more of a low key. So we ended up on a boat in the canals for 3 hours. Put up a sign. It said it's her 80th birthday, and hundreds maybe thousands of people sang Happy Birthday to her.
Wow.
So it was really, really
Wow,
special.
that's
It's like
cool.
the new family legend. So that was the inspiration for going there. Well, I wanted to do some more traveling, and I was like, well, I'm going to go to Paris too first, and then, Paris is only a couple hours from Amsterdam. It's not that far. And I was like,
It's
well,
like going to San Diego.
yeah, exactly. San Diego, Los Angeles. Actually, I think San Diego's a little closer, but it's not that far. So I was like, well, I'm going to be in Paris and cruising around. I went and saw Notre Dame, went to Picasso Museum, but I also went shopping for
Yeah.
G.I. Joe. Now, this is the whole point here. But so that was the inspiration for the whole trip. Now, Skybound has started to release trade paperbacks in other languages. It's confirmed for French, Spanish, and Italian, and maybe Swedish.
Okay.
People say there's Swedish ones out there, but I haven't seen them yet. But so that's 4 different languages, and these are like the Energon universe. So I was like, well, let me go to the bookstores and look. Now I'm not talking comic shops. I went to comic shops too, but I went to the bookstores, and on the shelf in the bookstore is Energon Universe Duke, Cobra Commander, Scarlet, Destro, Transformers, and Void Rivals.
That's exciting.
So I got to buy an international G.I. Joe comic, brand new, on a shelf in Paris.
That's really cool. In French?
In French. When I went to the comic shops, they had the regular comics in English, just like everywhere else. No different, but they also had a French section where I found these other ones that were printed for Vestron.
Awesome. So you're in a Paris bookstore. There's Joe's on the shelf. Was it? I don't know. Was it crowded? Like, did it look like? Was it a fresh stack, or did it look like it had been picked through a little bit? Like, in other words, like
they were all there.
Yeah.
So like I said, it was Void Rivals, Transformers, and they each had 2 volumes for that, and then one of each of the 4 miniseries.
Do you speak Dutch? I guess what's the language in Dutch?
Yeah,
Is
it's
it Dutch?
Dutch.
Just
Yeah.
straight up Dutch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't speak French either.
No French.
But
Nothing.
you know,
That's
I
all right.
try I try to get the greetings down. Beyond that, I
Yeah.
suck at languages.
No, but same here. But that's one of the things I've loved about talking with you is that you've tracked down all these international copies and you have all this stuff, and that's something that I really enjoy too because. No, it's a connector. It's a global connector to know that, especially with the older books.
Yeah.
That back then someone else was reading this at the same time I was.
Right.
And so now you're in Paris and you're having that experience in the moment now that these Parisians are running around
Right.
with their croissants, enjoying or maybe not enjoying the death of rock and roll. I'm just saying.
Right. Yeah. Well, the thing is that all of the international G.I. Joe before, in the 80s, say, was all delayed.
Yeah.
Most of the time when the cartoons came out in other countries is when the comics and the toys arrived in those countries. Usually around 87.
Right.
Right? Of course, G.I. Joe started in 82, so there's like that 5-year time frame. So the comics would tend to start, they didn't start with issue number 1, they started somewhere else.
Yeah.
The only ones that were printed right away in another language was Canadians, right? They printed in French because the law at the time was anything printed in English had to also be
Right.
printed in French. So Marvel Comics printed all their Marvel Comics in French. DC was doing it too. So you can get all these, and those started with number 1. I think number 1, maybe definitely number 2. In 83.
Yeah.
So from 83 to about 87, it was only in French in Canada. And then it exploded all around the world. So it's like right now, I think there's like 25 countries and like 12 languages that have been found. And I literally just the other day, one of our collectors found from the Czech Republic. I guess it's Czechoslovakia back then. So there's still stuff being found. I mean, in 2025, or I think you found them last year, 2024.
So did you do any back issue hunting while you were there? Did you find any older stuff in
did,
foreign lands?
In France, there's not much. There's only did like in the 80s only 2 or 3, and I couldn't find any Transformers. But in the Netherlands, it's a whole other story. Like they had 19 issues and about 6, 7 trade paperbacks, and they were all over the place. And I have to give a shout out to Rob Arts, who is a big G.I. Joe collector. And I've known him for almost 15 years. He was helping me back when I was doing Yo-Joe, well before doing After Action Report. So I went over to his place in Nijmegen, which is on the near the German border.
Is it in Germany or
in the Netherlands?
In the Netherlands.
In the Netherlands. And so I saw him and his collection, hung out with him all day. We had a great time.
Awesome. I saw some of those pictures.
Yeah, and he has a website. It's called G.I. Joe. It's Netherlands.nl.
Oh yeah.
So he does he writes a lot of current articles and everything like that. And so this is how far back I go collecting international. About 6-7 years ago, I had paid him like $300 to collect me Netherlands comics, and I had totally forgotten. So he had a whole box for me. I was like, oh,
that's great.
So I was like, all right, great. And I'll take him. I had a full collection already. In the meantime between them, I guess when I'd asked him to do that, and then between I filled in the gaps.
Are they branded in the Netherlands? Are they branded G.I. Joe or are they Action Force?
So they say G.I. Joe Special Missions, but it's in Dutch, so it's like Special Needle. I don't know.
Yeah.
Special Operations, I think. I think if you translated it would be special because it starts with an O-P-E-R, and special is both words are.
But it's branded.
But
it's branded G.I. Joe though.
Yes,
it's not Action Force.
Not Action Force. No. But like Sweden, Dutch, Norway, or not Dutch, Sweden, Norway, Scandinavia, Denmark, those are all Action Force on the cover, but they're reprints of American. So they're the international thing, other than the British, UK Action Force, nothing else is original. So, oh my God, here comes Jamie Sullivan.
Interrupted by Jamie Sullivan, superstar.
Good to see you again.
Jamie Sullivan,
We're doing a
you're
podcast.
live on the Joe and Joe podcast. Say hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
We're doing well. We're doing well.
Fabulous.
All right, so back to Europe.
So you're in Europe.
I'm in
You're
Europe.
with Arts.
So I've
Rob Arts.
Rob Arts, and he just goes. We spent hours together. He showed me his town, and then got the comics and took them back to my sister lives in Amsterdam, so I took the train back and forth. Oh no, he drove me back. I took the train out there, and it was really great because, when you know somebody for like 10, 15 years and you interact a lot on Facebook, and then you get to meet them in person in their city in the Netherlands, I was like, oh, this is so special.
That's great. That's really great.
Yeah.
And that's the love of G.I. Joe bringing you together.
Yes.
That's what's great about having a passion for any kind of whatever the hobby is.
Right. And when you're
it
mutual
brings it together. It's great.
Yeah, when you're mutual website people, spend all your time. I make books and Yo-Joe, his website and everything. It's like and his focus is writing stories about G.I. Joe. Right, that's what he likes to do, and so he just posts it up. And it's all in Dutch, and then Google translates it. So when you read it there, it's like great.
So all the commandos are in wooden shoes.
You have to ask him that because I don't know.
It's really hard to do the Ninja Force because all the clomping and the clacking from the wooden shoes.
Yeah, they're definitely not silent. So after shopping in Paris and collecting there, I had a whole lot of comics, and I ended up having 4 boxes of comics that I brought back.
Wow.
How
big
I
boxes?
put them in short boxes.
Short boxes?
Full.
That you brought home from Europe.
Yeah, from Europe. Dutch and France.
Yeah. That's a lot of comics.
The cost to put them in a short box and then buy a bag and put it on the plane was way less than any shipping cost, but it was more.
True.
Oh, it was almost the cost of my whole flight.
Right. I was just where my brain is at right
I'd
now.
gotten a really cheap flight over there. So it was a really fun trip. I was over there for 2.5 weeks and came back with a lot of comics. And of course, as I was saying earlier, to have this special moment with my mom on her 80th birthday in the canals of Amsterdam. It's the new family legend is how I like to joke about it. Yeah. And the sign that we just randomly made, we're now framing and going to put it on the wall. Because it said, it's her 80th birthday with an arrow pointing to her. And so
That's great.
So it was really all, and obviously it becomes 100% deductible because I'm writing a book about the After Action Report Volume 4 is going to be
should
your.
have brought 6 boxes of comic books.
Yeah, I did plan on bringing some back, but I didn't realize how many Netherlands books Rob had got for me, and I was like, oh, great. And so I'm bringing some of those to Joe Fest.
$300 to purchase, $1,200 to get home.
Yeah. No, it wasn't quite $1,200, but bag, because it was an extra weight bag fee.
Yeah.
And of course, you get to the airport and the weight doesn't matter, so I had to shuffle them around between the bags. But I basically got 2 boxes in each bag. So it wasn't
I was in an airport once. I had bought local or domestic travel, but I had purchased so many books that it was my suitcase was bursting.
Yeah.
And so they weren't going to make me check it, and I'm off to the side taking every piece of clothing and putting it on my body so I can fit all my comic books into my carry-on luggage so that it wouldn't cost me the $50 to yeah. So I get on the plane just with 6 layers of clothing on so they could fit in my bag.
Previously, when I had been to Amsterdam, I was like 7-8 years ago or something like that. I brought back not nearly as many as I just brought back, but I actually threw away clothing.
You know what?
Because I was like, I don't need this piece of clothing. It's fine. I'll throw this away.
That's a travel tick.
I'd rather have comics than clothes.
A lot of people use that as a travel thing. They take clothing or maybe like your socks or underwear or something like that. They choose the ones that they're kind of least in love with.
Right.
They take them on the trip and they leave them there.
Yeah.
They travel with a full they travel with a full suitcase. They wear the clothes for one last time, and then their suitcase is empty or filled with comic books or filled with whatever it is that they get on their trip.
Right.
That's a travel technique you're doing there. So that's awesome.
The other thing that I realized in all my travels is that there's a laundry machine everywhere.
Oh, 100%.
So, like, you don't need to bring one piece of clothing for every single day and have this massive bag. You can bring, like, 3-4 days worth of clothing and then do laundry.
Yes.
So I did
Completely.
that twice when I was in France.
Oh, that's awesome.
Or once in France and once in
So
Netherlands.
you get back to France and you immediately roll right into Kickstarter number 2 for the command files.
Right.
When we're recording this, we've got about 28 days left, 27 days, something in that range.
We're at 200%.
200%.
Yep.
Now, some people would say, "Okay, great, they achieved it. I don't need to jump in." But why do they need to jump in now and help keep pushing you guys over the top?
Well, this is the beautiful thing with Kickstarter is that once you hit that goal, then you start adding incentives.
Yeah.
They're called stretch goals. And so we have a whole series of basically prints. Well, we got some really cool, unique artwork that Greg Augustin, the author of Command Files, has done. He put together, and we're doing it as a poster. That's it's called the Chain of Command. Mm-hmm. Which, of course, as a Joe fan, we all want to know, like, what's the structure between the Navy and the Army and the Marines, because G.I. Joe is all of those.
Anyway, so anywho, you guys,
that was pretty funny.
you're putting together a poster of all the various.
Right. So there's a stretch goal that's already been reached for Command Files 2. It's a poster. It's 16 by 20, and it's literally the command structure of G.I. Joe. Now it's fictional. G.I. Joe's fictional. This command structure is fictional because there's really no
There's nothing
G.I.
to compare
Joe
it to. It's not like
in the real world
Right,
because
right.
there's not all the branches don't co-mingle under one group, special Delta Force like that. You know what I mean? So we put that together. That's been really cool. And we have other prints. Again, these are the stretch goals. So get on board and you get all these prints. We have cover prints and we have more planned. We have since Jamie Sullivan made a guest appearance here, maybe I'll reveal this right now. Is that he is doing another dust jacket. So. For the first Command Files, he did a dust jacket, and now we're on Command Files 2, so he's doing another Command Files dust jacket.
Awesome. And he teases on what the art is going to represent?
I don't even
Have you seen it?
He says he's working on it.
Because the first one, to describe it, it's basically the original team.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. They're hoisting a flag.
Yeah.
There's Sky Strikers in the background. It's a great drawing.
Yeah. And, it's got the little flaps and everything, so you put it around
dust
your
jacket,
book.
yeah.
And so this will be dust jacket number 2 that he's doing. I told him to make sure that there's a flag on it, and that's about all I asked him to make the same.
American flag or USS flag?
Oh, American flag, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Not the. Well, he could put the flag
That's what
on.
I'm saying.
He might surprise us. I don't
Yeah.
know.
What's the request for?
Huh?
Or is it just it's the American flag? I got it. It's general flag holding the American flag, standing on the deck of the USS flag.
Man, that's something that needs to be made. Totally. Oh my God. That's
It's the all flag dust jacket.
yeah. So that's going to be, and if we can hit the 40K, everybody will get one. Of this new
that's
dust
great.
jacket.
That's great.
I mean, that's the kind of thing that's a little bit expensive to make. So you got to hit these higher end goals.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, being 100%.
And if you're not familiar with Kickstarter, and some of you, most of you are familiar with it as a concept, but a lot of you may not have actually backed it.
Right.
When we talk about stretch goals, what we're talking about isn't costing you additional money at all. Like you make your pledge, like whatever it is, $50, $30, whatever, $80, whatever it is for your buying. When they do stretch goals, that means they've made so many pledges that they can afford to add more to the $50 you've already contributed. You're not being asked to give them more. You're saying, oh great, you committed to us early on. Here's a stretch goal. You're also getting this poster. You're also getting this bookmark. You're also getting this, visit from Josh in the night to a home visit to whisper sweet G.I. Joe nothings in your ear. That's the ultimate stretch goal. Yeah, that's the ultimate stretch goal. So if you've never done Kickstarter, that's what that means. So it's really cool. It's not an add-on per se. It is literally a freebie that because you've helped make it so successful, you get this stuff for free.
Yes, and that's something that is an incentive. It is literally an incentive to continue to back, because once it's funded, right? Like, why do other people want to get it? Well, first of all, you want to get the item.
Yeah.
In this case, it's Command Files 2 book, and then you get all these extra things. Now, you can do add-ons. You can.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you could fill in your
add-on.
collection with some of the other books, and
Right.
and you guys have
Those
such a nice selection of books that I know all of your add-ons are to get these books to fill in your gaps. Yeah.
And there's an all-in option too.
Yeah.
So if you don't have any of them, you can get them all.
A couple months ago, we had those giveaways on this show, and great response.
Oh, cool.
And absolutely multiple people who received the books wrote back to one say thank you to you as well as to me for the giveaway, but seriously to say I then went and purchased more of their books because they were great.
Right.
Like they got this freebie and they were like, yeah, this is what I want to read.
I mean,
and they went and they filled in the blanks. So you've got a set of books that really make you want to read more.
And the concept that we came up with, and this is Roger Taft's idea. I mean, I've filled in all the gaps to make it all work, but it was really Roger's idea, to have a guidebook that all the covers. I mean, like, it's not been done anywhere. I mean, like, even none of Marvel or DC, they kind of have a little bit of variance, but like nobody tracks these things. There's apps that track it, but it's not an in-hand guidebook.
Yeah, no, I've never seen anything done like this.
So,
especially in this day and age of a jillion variant covers.
Yeah.
No one's doing this.
Right.
So you guys are in a great spot because you've got your hands around a franchise that is not so massive that it's untrackable.
Right.
But it's also big enough where there's so many fans out there that there's enough to sustain the kind of interest in a book like this,
I mean,
like if Marvel were to do it, it would be a 1,000-page omnibus.
Right.
And they would, it would be unwieldy. And,
I mean, basically up until, say, the mid-'90s, like, there was no variance other than newsstand and direct market and Canadian price, right? So that's very easy to handle. I mean, it's relatively new news.
It is,
for some people,
but it's a lot. But it's a lot of research for you to actually get correct. That's the thing. That stuff wasn't tracked back then.
Right, it wasn't tracked, and nobody collected it in the format of as a kid in the formats.
It's less information to put on a page, but it's a lot of information for you to reach out and chronicle and make sure that you're on point with. That's a lot of work. And you've been working. I mean, you've been doing this for years.
5 years now, but I started in the early 2000s with Yo Joe.
Right.
Doing a similar thing. I mean, chronicling the comics as they were coming out during all the Devil's Due era and stuff like that.
So, what's the best way to find you on Kickstarter? What's the best search term for this?
Well, just Command Files or After Action Report. You don't even need to use Volume 2 because they both come up very easily on Kickstarter. And if you do that, if you put in Google Kickstarter command files after action report, it comes up easily.
Perfect.
If you type in just after action report, you get a whole list of military stuff. And then G.I. Joe after action report command files our books is like on second and third page, but all these military ones, get ranked higher than we do in Google.
Sure.
Because it's military.
Military, sure, yeah.
Real military.
And what is the actual end date of the?
So it ends on June 30th, and it will be the last day will be at the Dallas Fort Worth Joe show.
Okay.
We'll be in person there, so I'll be yelling to scream, "Be a backer! Be a backer!"
Will it end like literally the time wise during the show?
I think so. Yes.
Oh, that's even,
it's a Sunday.
even more
I
fun.
think the 30th.
Well, you got to get that on camera.
Yeah.
You got to get that celebration
Yeah.
on camera. So if you're going to Joe Fest, tell everyone at Joe Fest. If you're going to the Dallas Fort Worth show, that's your last chance to get it.
Looks like the 30th is actually Monday, so it's going to end on Monday.
Oh, it'll end on Monday morning.
So
you'll wake up with your Dallas Fort Worth hangover.
Yes.
And you'll be like, "What was the one thing I forgot to do this weekend?"
Right.
Oh, it's back the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what you're going to do.
And so we want to get everybody there, and Joe Fest is the week before that. So if you're at Joe Fest and you forget you still got a week, and
tell your friends. This is Joe month.
Yeah.
This is a lot of Joe stuff going on.
Joe.
Talk it up. Tell people, even if you're maybe not going to do it,
Joe
mention
June.
it. Mention it to your buddy. Be like, hey,
Yeah.
you heard about this Kickstarter. It's really cool. Get them over the top. Get those stretch goals going. And we appreciate it.
And as of this recording here, I'm sitting at the Robo Toy Fest West Coast G.I. Joe show, which this month has now been the 5th convention I've been to, including the SoCal Joe show. And then, of course, we have
It's a lot of hustle.
2 more.
You're putting in the work. You're putting in the work. All right.
Now Josh and I took a stroll to the floor of the show and started talking to some of the vendors who are selling comics, selling G.I. Joe stuff, and here's some of that conversation.
I'm asking eight on them.
Okay. So these are these from Spain or Mexico? Mexico. So you think that there would be different from the Spanish ones in Spain? Because they're 80s, so they would have been printed differently, right? Right. So, yeah, you don't see those very often.
I saw these and I thought of you. I was gonna. Oh yeah. What's your name? Fredo. Are you from Mexico City?
No,
From San Diego?
my parents are from Mexico.
Oh, is that where you got all the?
No, these are my friends from down south.
Yeah.
He just gave them to me, so.
Oh, that's awesome. I was down there recently. I was looking for stuff exactly like this.
Okay.
Yeah, and the guy in the shop he actually said that U.S. selling ones sell best, not U.S. language ones.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wanted this.
Yeah.
I'm in Mexico. I want to come home with it.
Yeah, no, we have a store down south, down at Revolution, Tijuana, Mexico.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Oh, I've heard there's some good collectible.
Yeah,
Our
our store
geek
is,
shit. Yeah, geek stuff down there. Yeah.
yeah, our store is called Toy Revolution.
Toy Revolution. Awesome. So if you're in Tijuana, check that out.
Yes.
Awesome.
You have G.I. Joe down there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a little digest side.
Yeah.
Are they pretty easy to find?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Really?
Yeah, he collects all that and then he sells them, and yeah, you can find it at our store also.
Wow. Just over is it Tijuana or?
Yeah, Tijuana.
So Josh, you're walking around a show like this.
Yes.
What kind of? Sorry, two Joshes, one cup. You're walking around a show like this. What kind of stuff? How do you shop for G.I. Joe? Like, what's your style of shopping?
Well,
everyone's got a different style. You know?
I am not a toy collector,
Okay.
so I can easily bypass most toy booths. I'm always looking for a comic book box to dive into, like the one we were just at. The guy had Mexico X-Men in Spanish, but I was like, oh. So I was trying to get some knowledge from him regarding, like, is the Spain comic in Spanish would be different than the Mexico comic, and he said yes, because it would be the language is a little bit different, and of course back in the 80s they were printed in each country. They weren't printed everywhere and then just kind of shipped wherever. Mm-hmm. But like in our modern day world, the Spain book might be the same as Mexico.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure that out. Of course, I'm always walking around trying to, meet people and talk to people. And, at an actual, this is more of a toy show.
It really is. Yeah.
So there's not that much comics, but actually at a comic convention, there's a lot of information out there that the vendors have that, you can talk to them about to learn stuff. So I end up doing that.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, my collection is so big that honestly, like, I have most everything domestic. So, like, look through a book, I'm like, yeah, or a box or whatever, I got it all.
Right.
And I've been collecting since '82, so some of it I got originally. You know what I mean? So it's not like I've had to track it down in the past or from the past, currently. So I had them for a long time.
Yeah.
But I mean, as an author, you want to try to have as much information as you can. And there's a lot of people out there with a lot of information. Nobody has it all.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
As much as I try to think like I have got a corner on the market for knowledge on comics, and somebody points out something to me I didn't know, and I'm like, well, now I know.
Yeah, and as we know, that's half the battle.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I have them.
you don't do toys per se, but do you do like I don't know what to say, like ephemera, like collectible stuff, like rando stuff, like a light bright G.I. Joe set, you know what I mean, like the weird stuff. I love that stuff. I'm a sucker for it.
No, not really.
A board game, or things like
I guess
that.
we're walking by a booth right now that has the Transformers crossover with the Hiss tank and the Awe Striker.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So I bought those, because that's like super cool, and G.I. Joe crossovers is something that like very much interests me.
Like, for example, I bought the G.I. Joe VHS, G.I. Joe the movie VHS tape.
Wow.
Over there. Guy had it $10.
Right.
It's a done deal.
Right. Do you even have a VHS player to watch it
I
on?
actually do, but it's not hooked up. I do, though. I really do.
I always thought that'd be fun to collect, like, all that kind of stuff, like
Well,
all the VHSs and DVDs and stuff like that. That'd be kind of fun to try to get them all.
Yeah, that's my guy Pablo.
I mean, like as we pass another booth here, it's got a lot of some G.I. Joe. They have the figure packs.
Uh-huh.
So
Oh, yeah, with the comics. Yeah, do you have all those?
So I got those. I got them in the package and then out of the package, loose. But I originally had only got the comic. I didn't get the pack, and then later on I acquired the packs.
That was an era that I was not collecting at all, toys.
Uh-huh.
But I remember seeing those on the shelf because I was still waiting the comics.
Right.
And that was an almost buy for me. That was me going, oh well, yeah, because they were doing. Isn't that how they did Quinn for the first
Yep.
time?
Mm-hmm.
Like stuff like that. I was like, oh, they're really digging deep on this. I really should get these, and I never did.
Right.
I know. And now, of course, they're.
I mean, they're $100.
Yeah.
Most of them. I mean, the one we just went by, they were $70.
Yeah.
Some of them have a sticker on it with Storm Shadow, and it was a giveaway. And so I'm trying to get all of those, but I haven't quite figured out which ones have stickers and which ones don't.
Because it does fall under the category of comic book collectible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as a guy who's got to get them all, I'm like, well, there's a variant. With sticker, without sticker. But yeah, I mean, it does help to come to a toy convention and not be a toy collector because, like, I'm not tempted.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's how I feel when I go to the Transformers con out here.
Right.
Like, I'm not tempted by everything. There's a small portion of stuff. I'm tempted by some stuff, but it's just a small nugget that it won't break my bank.
Yeah. So now let's head out here.
Yeah.
We're in the main room.
Heavy Joe set.
Yeah, which is like the Robo Toy Fest, which there's a lot of toys, but now we're going out here to the actual, it's called the West Coast Joe Show. Hey, what's up? This guy's Drew. We're doing a podcast.
Cool.
Recording.
How are you? What's your name?
I'm Drew. How you doing?
Drew. And
Joe Slepsky?
I've been shopping around a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you have a store or you private sell?
No, I just sell a couple times a year at local shows.
Awesome. What shows do you hit up?
Yearly I go to Joe Fest and Assembly Required, and then the SoCal Joe Show, and this one.
Awesome. Will you be there next week? Or
Yeah, I'll be at Joe Fest and DFW.
Do you have a booth table people can find you?
I'll be hanging out.
Know that off the top of your head?
I'll be walking around mostly, but yeah.
Okay.
I'll be hanging out with Josh and all the other old school guys.
Okay, good. I apologize for that.
Drew's a guy to know if you want toys.
Yeah.
Yes, he's a guy to know.
Well, he's got a lot of great stuff here. I noticed he's got a lot of the con figures. He's got some prototypes. What I really dig is all you've got a good selection of your file cards. You've got the blueprints.
Got a little bit for everybody.
I was appreciating your loose accessory pack, and then my brain was breaking, and how much time it would take for me to go through that box.
You wouldn't be the first.
I would, yeah, that's like I would love to just borrow it for a weekend. I'll absolutely categorize everything I buy, but that's how much time it would take for me to go through that.
The last show we were at, there was a bin of figures like that, and some guy came by and bought the entire bin. It was about 300 figures at once.
Oh, awesome! Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty. I did not anticipate that happening at that show.
Do you do your own for like the loose stuff? Like, do you repair? Like, do you get pieces and repair them and make new ones to sell, or do you just do straight up whatever you buy?
Parts are in here. Complete figures are in there. Parts. I just throw it in the bins.
Awesome.
For the most part, but yeah, I've got a decent inventory of complete stuff. But at these shows, I find it's a lot easier to find more specific stuff. So there's something for everybody.
Yeah, that's great. Well, you do have a really nice booth.
Cool, thank you.
A real good selection, old stuff, some newer stuff.
Yeah, appreciate it. Cool.
So, Drew's claim to fame, is that he's been to pretty much every Joe Con, and when he was a kid, right? He never left G.I. Joe. So many G.I. Joe people left in the 90s.
Yeah.
He never did.
Yeah, 93, I kind of stopped playing with them. And by late 93, early 94, I was buying them in the package from publications like Cotswold Collectibles, Toy Shop Magazine. And then eventually the internet came around. And that had 35 years later.
93, 94, they were going for cheap because
they
were just wanting them off the pegs.
I remember getting Storm Shadow it was $60 carded.
Oh, yeah?
It was our first one.
That's awesome.
From there, I was buying people out. I was buying out KB toy outlets and stuff like that.
So what's your what does your personal collection look like? Do you have is it like you have complete everything and then whatever else other random ephemera?
Yeah. I've collected just about everything from animation cells to merchandise to prototypes to advertisements, mail-aways, comic books, figures, international. I've done pretty much everything.
Okay, what's your home address and what's the security system like there?
It depends which home address. I've got the facility. So we have my company has an office where most of for sale stuff is, and then my house, I've got a warehouse on the property as well.
That's great. Oh, so company, do you sell this?
No, I'm a general contractor.
Oh,
so I own.
Build your own.
I'll
build
it
your own
for
showcase. Yeah, plug
Southern
it
California construction and restoration, but we service all of Riverside and San Diego.
Sweet.
So we're a full service general contractor.
Do you hide a G.I. Joe figure in the walls of every house you build? And if not, will you consider doing that going forward?
I should definitely do that, but I do think it's great when we hire new people and they walk into the front office, they don't think they're in a construction company.
It's just all G.I. Joe stuff.
It's all nerd posters and a full-size Darth Vader and G.I. Joes. That's pretty funny.
That's fantastic. We were doing construction at a buddy's house once, and we found an old Rambo villain buried underneath.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. We didn't know what it was, but it was totally buried. At some point, someone did construction over it, and we found a Rambo bad guy.
That's awesome.
So consider that.
Yeah, we should start hiding a couple figures.
Yeah, it's your own personal
for
statement.
someone in 30 years, they get to find their own treasure.
Right.
Throwing it out there. The idea is yours.
That's funny.
Well, have a wonderful June of shows.
Yeah, definitely. Let's be busy. Me and Josh will see each other all across the entire country twice.
How long you guys know each other?
20-something years?
20 years, wow.
I think I met you in 2006 or so.
I was going down to, when I lived in Los Angeles, going down to San Diego because there used to be the SoCal Dreadnoughts. Is that what it was?
Yeah,
it was called?
SoCal Dreadnoughts.
It was a Joe club that met in San Diego, so I'd travel down there for that, and that's how we met the first time.
That's super dope.
I mean,
Well, Joe Slupski.
Hey, man, yeah, pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure.
Joe on Joe.
Yeah, dude.
Well, Josh, thank you so much. Great to
All right.
see you. And listeners, you know what to do. Get out there and get it.
Yeah.
Now you Joe, and Joeing is half the battle.